Thanks. So, hello everybody. First of all, thank you, Elisa, for having me here today and for the opportunity to tell my story. So, efficiency in cybersecurity. It is not a secret that the most important piece in efficiency is people, but you need not only the right people, you need also to ensure that those people can do what they like to do. You need to create good chemistry between those people and the different teams working together. And last but not least, you need to equip those people with the right tools, so tools can take away a lot of routine, mundane, boring daily stuff, so those people can focus more on what is important for the organization and to develop themselves. So today, I'm going to share some suggestions, some ideas from the processual and also from the tooling point of view on how mid-range and large enterprises can make their teams work more effectively, do less at some point, improve relationships between those teams, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing. So to have some credibility in my story, I have been in the field for 15 years, and before I joined Palo Networks for 14 years, I worked in a state service provider, and we were responsible for the most important information systems and networks a country could possibly have. And I started my career as a network engineer, ended up as a CTO of the company, and I was managing plenty of people and several different teams. So my story will be based on my own experience, what I have seen in my organization, what I have seen in my customer base as a network engineer and as a CTO as well. So, setting up the stage, let's take for an example a simplified enterprise. We have 3 teams. We have IT team, we have security team, and we have a networking team. The thing with IT team is they are responsible for Active Directory, they are responsible for workstations, they are responsible for all the software on the workstations, and they are also responsible for antivirus or endpoint security. Right? So the thing with IT team is they are exposed to end users, and it's overwhelming. So the most ideal product for them, any product would be a product which doesn't generate any alarms. So it's quiet, doesn't generate extra work, right? So in terms of endpoint security, of course, it's not an ideal situation if you want for your product to be silent, to live its own life. Same thing applies to network team. I have been a network engineer for a long time. I have configured a lot of firewalls, and I can tell you that I cared not about security, I cared about global reachability. And I must admit, I never checked firewall logs unless something happened and unless somebody asked me to. Another thing about the procurement process, when I was procuring firewalls, I was looking at those devices on what I would need as a network engineer from the device. So port types, port density, routing table size, stuff like that. So things a network engineer would like to have, not things what security analysts would like to have, right? And last thing about networking team is they don't like other teams, other people, because everybody always blames network first. And you always have to prove that you are not an idiot, basically. And it's very annoying. I have been in that position 7 years. And now we are in a position that IT team is responsible for endpoint security, but they don't care about it. Networking team is responsible for firewalls, and they also don't care about it. And then there is security team. They are responsible for security, but more or less on paper. Yeah, they have some CM maybe and stuff, but still they cannot really influence other team decisions on how the security and solutions will look like, because teams doesn't want to involve those guys because the thing with security team is they make other people's lives much harder. So security teams, they care about security, they don't care about operations, and basically those teams go in separate ways, right? And I never liked to talk with security team because they just kill what I do. Yeah, and they want to be involved, and if security team is procuring security solutions, more often than not, they will just pick some solution like SIEM, which they can operate without involving other teams. And I see it in basically all organizations I go to. But there is one time when suddenly all those three teams are best friends, and that is when the compliance audit comes for your information system. Then all those teams like rush to fix what needs to be fixed for system to be compliant. And thing about compliance is that, first of all, when you do all this compliance stuff, your operations suffer. So your business suffers because you focus on that. You make your system much harder to maintain, right? And then after the audit has ended, you kind of like promise to yourself that next time I will be better prepared. But it never is the case. And more often than not, like 2 weeks after the audit, your system is no more compliant because somebody made some change somewhere. And then if you look at this picture together, we have basically two big issues. First of all, nowadays, to be able to protect an organization against sophisticated cyber attacks, you cannot afford to plan your security solutions in an isolated and disconnected manner. You need to have a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy for all of your assets, all of your needs. That is one thing. And the other thing is that security team and other teams do not work well together. And we need to solve that because that is the only way how those people will like their job. And if they will like their job, then of course, satisfied employee, stuff like that. I understand there should be technical people in this session. So this should resonate with you, and I urge you to, what I will talk next, if you find it reasonable, then try to do something about that in your organization. Let me make a bold statement. If we could fix security team needs, we could automatically fix other stuff, relationships as well. So if we split our daily life in 3 stages, so we have peacetime, cyber incident, and after party, right? In terms of my suggestions, I have several. I have only like 10 minutes, so not much time. But first of all, as I said, we need to have a comprehensive security architecture. And the only way how we can make it happen is if security teams are leading the procurement process. But still, for example, if you are procuring firewall, you need to involve networking team because they will, in the end, be responsible for reachability and they will operate the firewall, so they must like the product. But security team must be leading the process. It's it's essential, it's a must-have. Also, from the amount of ordinary tasks, if security team and networking team would work together, they could create a framework where basically the networking team could offload all the user-specific rule creation to security team. So less tickets, less work, what's not to like, right? Another thing, we must be able to make sure that security team is responsible for all the security logs your company has and generates. I didn't check the logs anyway, but I was responsible for that. And it's not good position to be there. And lastly, single source of truth. I would argue this is maybe the most important thing for your teams to work well together. We need to have for all the involved teams, like IT team, security, networking, developers, they need to have a single point of view of the information system in terms of assets, how many virtual servers, containers the system has in real time, so it's based on actual state. We need to understand our system must deliver which components communicate with whom networking-wise. Very, very important for network engineers, because nobody really can tell the networking guy how a system actually works. Well, it just works, right? Because developers test, in one VLAN, in one subnet, and they don't even care about networking part. And you need to have also vulnerability and compliance management in one single system. How about cybersecurity incident stage? It is important for basically to serve all the data to security teams on a plate. So when the breach happens, and it will happen at some point, security team can do all the investigation independently. So they don't have to bug everybody for whatever they need. And of course, it's very important to have possibility to automatically automatically understand the root cause of breach. So just some suggestions what are needed for you to work effectively. And some examples. So independent analysis. So currently, when the breach happens, and when you know it had happened, it's complete chaos, right? I have been in a situation like that several times. What we need to do? We need to, first of all, or maybe I will rephrase. So Palo Alto Networks, we have a tool. It's called Cortex XDR. It is endpoint security solution with centralized analytics. First of all, it protects your servers, your workstations, basically any workload from cyber attacks. But also, it stitches together all your security logs and stuff, so your security analyst has a clear picture on what's going on in your enterprise. And also, it provides ability to see automatically the root cause of the breach. And the important thing about breaches is that in Baltics, at least, it takes more than 200 days for us to understand that we are breached. It's a fact, because I correlated that with several certs. And it takes more than a week to understand how did it happen. So it's important, and then security team will kind of leave other teams alone, and everybody will be happy. And single source of truth. We have a tool, it's called Prisma Cloud. I would like to call it, or I like to call it application lifecycle security tool. First of all, what we do, we provide visibility of your assets. So how many virtual servers, containers your system has in real time. We provide network connections, so which service communicates with whom. We also provide a single view for all your teams, including developers, like about vulnerabilities, technical compliance, and runtime issues. And then, like before this, security teams, they scan against vulnerabilities. Systems create hundreds of tickets, and then they assign those tickets to you, and you don't know what to do. How to fix this vulnerability? Should I patch? What should I do? Nobody knows. Complete chaos, very bad. With this system, the system scans your assets automatically. Everybody sees that, we have 7 critical vulnerabilities. IT team who is responsible for this, in this example, they check, so we have Python vulnerability, critical one. We have agreed beforehand that we will focus only on critical ones at first. They see they must fix Python, and the tool must be able to show in which version the vulnerability is fixed, how to fix it, and brief description. Right? So no ticketing, very easy. And the same applies to compliance. We need to have a tool which at any point in time, not once a year, but every day, can show whether your system is compliant technically. It's not policy or a paper, it's technically, right? And to sum it up, the tool, it shows information for your teams, which is based on actual state of your system. And it's not PDF documentation, because I like documentation on paper, but I never trusted that. So whenever I need to do changes, I always verified whether the configuration is as the documentation says that and usually it's not. And of course, about this tool, it's not only the visibility and single source of truth and vulnerabilities. It provides also like how to say reactive security. But it's not today, not for today. And to sum it up, first of all, what every single organization must do, we must make sure that we remove away responsibilities and functions from people, what they do not do anyway. I like this as an example about firewall, logs, and network engineers, because it works 100% every time. Nobody does it. We need to serve information to security teams on a plate so they can function and leave other teams alone. And last but not least, we need to have a single source of truth for assets, network, vulnerability, compliance, runtime, code, etc. And more often than not, such changes cannot happen without board-level involvement. So I like to say that the security nowadays is a board-level issue as well. It's not only a security analyst or security team. And lastly, a little pitch about Palo Alto Networks. So we are a security-focused and specialized company. We can provide basically everything an enterprise might need from security point of view. I checked where our tools, our products reside in Gartner's Magic Quadrants and Forrester's and etc. And we are, on average, we are somewhere in Leaders Quadrant Northeast. So I would say we are pretty good at it. And in what we do, and we have more than 85,000 global customers, which kind of confirms that we are doing the right thing. So if my story today resonated with you, please approach me or my colleague Edgar's or Elisa, people, so we can see how Palo Alto Networks can help you to enable your business better and to make your organizations more secure. So thank you.
Thank you, Didzis Ozolinš. I checked the Elisa stage. We don't have currently any questions there, but I would like to ask one question from you. So give me some simple tricks, everyday hacks, how to build a good relationship between different teams using technology.
It's a very good question. I would say the most important thing, it is actually technology must be able to reduce amount of conversations and meetings those teams must have with each other. Because each team has its own interest and it never works well because everybody kind of pushes to his advantage. So this is where it's important to have a tool which provides a single source of truth. So all those teams, they interact with a tool, not with each other. And in that way, Of course, when you need to have some, major decisions where your company is going, you need to have meetings and you need to have discussions. But in terms of operations, during day-to-day stuff, you can work with tool. And that will enable all of your teams to be more efficient and to like each other better.
That's nice to hear. So make a round of applause for Didzis. Thank you. I will take the remote and let's continue with our day. So you can... we have a question. That's good to hear. So let's have a question for Didzis as well.
Didzis, thank you very much for your presentation. Sorry, I don't. Question is for you. So you told us this story as a story, not as slides or some boring presentation. But question is for you: why you trust Palo Alto as a person? So you switched to Palo Alto position from very high level position. So why you personally trust Palo Alto?
Well, first of all, I believe in specialization, because specialization enables you to excel and to be the best you can be. That's why also I am a systems engineer, because I can specialize in some things, right? That is one thing. And another thing is that, in terms of security, it's more important than in any other dimension of IT. The most important thing is trust. You need to trust your data, your resources, your assets, your business to somebody. And I did my own investigation, so to speak, and I realized that if there was a company I would trust my data, that would be Palo Alto Networks.